We need to think of a new advert for freebets.com.
Get your best betting offers from freebets.com.
Yeah, that'll do.
The following deals are now live.
This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with Forged Irish Stout, freebets.com, and Ready to Fight. Delighted to be joined here. Always a pleasure. I think we haven't done a Zoom in a little minute, actually. I think Lewis has been doing a little bit with you here and now. I know Matt does a bit. Mr. Dave Coldwell, how are you, sir?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. How's things yourself?
Good, good. It's nice to have a bit of time at home. Obviously, the travel.
Oh, shut up whining about your
No,
travelling,
not whining. The
staying
travelling
in posh hotels, travelling business class and all that shit.
Oh, I
I've
wish.
seen you. I've
I
seen you.
wish.
Oh, I'm private jets and shit. I've
One
seen
PJ.
it. Oh, there you go.
No, you know what? It's always like, I actually think weirdly, this is probably the first January in ages where there's like quite a lot going on for British fighters. Obviously not to be for OD, but then we've got Tasha Jonas, obviously, Callum Smith this weekend. And then Belfast at the end of the month. It's actually a busier January than usual in the boxing schedule.
Yeah, usually January's quiet, and then it kind of gets rolling February and then starts flying in March. So yeah, it is a little bit different for it to be so busy in January, but it's good. It's good. Everybody get cracking, and some fighters have had to restrict the Christmas pud and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all good.
How did you enjoy the period? I suppose a little bit of downtime. I know people still in the gym and ticking over, but
4 days off out of the gym. We were still training through. We had Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, and New Year's Eve off. So yeah, so it was good. It was good.
You feel
nice time with the family. But still it's 24 hours in a day, so you can still fit in a training session here, can't you?
I was gonna say you're always sort of on it and sort of in the gym and working hard, but nice to sort of, I suppose you can really enjoy it and sort of take those moments for granted.
Yeah. Never. Yeah, and it's something that I never take for granted, whether it's work in the gym with fighters or if it's time spent with my family. I never take those times for granted. I absolutely love those two parts of my life. I'm gonna say this fellow wants me to budge back, I think. I've just parked up. My little boy's just about to start training. He's doing his warm-ups, so he's got his session. So I tried to park in the lightest spot for you.
You just roar as an uncut as it gets. I love it.
Yeah, that's it. Listen, you like that sort of stuff anyway. So
that's fantastic. I suppose let's go straight into it then on the world of boxing, and then we'll sort of reflect on 2023 and moving forward for you. Saudi Arabia, the investment and the influx of all that is obviously exciting for all. I suppose just firstly going into it, we've just seen Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou announced. Now it's a little bit like Marmite, a fight like this. I suppose when Fury fought him, a lot of critics, and then the performance that Ngannou put in, whether that be Tyson Fury having an off night or Ngannou being good or both potentially. There is now the demand. The Saudi Arabians, after Deontay Wilder lost, they said that Ngannou was their next choice in terms of marketability and everything. What are your thoughts on the fight, first and foremost?
Well, it's one of those where the performance of Ngannou has made him a valid option in the division. Going into that fight, listen, at the end of the day, you can say what you want. It's a different situation, and it's not about whether you Team Fury or Team AJ looking at that, but you've got to look at it for what it is. Before that fight was made, you're talking about the heavyweight champion of the world fighting against a guy that's never had a professional boxing match. Yes, he's MMA, but it's a different sport. We've always said that, and it was a case of like, well, coming off, who would he fought beforehand? It wasn't the kind of heavyweight championship fight that we was looking for. So yes, that fight got a lot of criticism going into, because the footage that we saw of Ngannou, especially, that didn't do any favors. But then on the night, the performance of Ngannou, yes, coupled with the fact that the performance of Tyson Fury as well, meshed together and made a really competitive fight, an exciting fight with drama. And what you saw there was an Atlas's stock rise dramatically, and the credit that he has in the bank off that performance means that if he can do that with the number one man, number one, number two, but in a lot of people's eyes, the number one, most, the best, but also the most awkward, the biggest, the trickiest heavyweight out there, if he can put that performance against him, have him on the floor, make him uncomfortable in a boxing sense, then why, then people can't be too angry with the fact that he goes in against any other heavyweight in that top 10, top 15. Now, the difference is with Joshua's not heavyweight champion of the world. He's not got no titles. Or he might have, what was it? Did he get an international title or something like that when his last fight? I'm not sure if he did or not, but he's not heavyweight champion of the world. So the lack of, I don't feel as though it's as bad, not bad, but it's not as seen as a bit of a, or it's a farce or whatever. It's not seen like that, like it was with Fury, because with Fury, you were talking about the man that was the man. With AJ, you're talking about a guy that a lot of people saying that he's finished, he's not his best anymore, he's not anywhere near what he used to be. He was never any good anyway. You can't brush somebody as that and package him as that, and then say you've got a problem with a man that's just given the number one and the best guy out there all the problems in the world.
Yeah.
So what I would say is that the two things that Ngannou showed in that Fury fight was, one, we say that Fury has got a better chin than AJ, right? That's been said to be a given all the way through the careers. Fury's got the better chin out of the two. Ngannou, what did he do with Fury?
Drop Fury, yeah.
Right. So we say that Fury has got better boxing skills and he's a much better, more elite boxer than AJ. In that fight, did it look like Fury was comfortable and was easily outboxing the novice Ngannou? No, it didn't. So if those two things where Fury's got, just those two things alone, where Fury's got above AJ and we rank him higher than AJ, then for Anthony Joshua to know that he's got a world title shot coming up with the IBF, that's pretty much, if he wants to go down that route, he's got that. For him to know that he's got that, to then actually be willing to go in against a guy that has shown the two attributes against the man that's supposed to be better at those two things and put massive dents in those two attributes that Fury had, to then go in against Ngannou himself, I think that's fair. That's a good non-title tune-up, warm-up, marking time fight before he's going in a heavyweight title fight. I think that's fair. The other thing that I look at is also when people say, oh, why doesn't he just go straight in against Sergovich or whatever? The problem with that is we're in January. Fury and Usyk's not going to happen until February. It's a 2-fight thing. So IBF will strip, will either vacate, the winner will vacate or strip. But they want to make plans for the fight now. So you can't wait until after that fight's happened. And then what will they give them? They'll give them a week, 2 weeks or whatever to make a decision whether they're going to defend or do the rematch. So obviously, maybe that means another 2 weeks there. So you can't wait until middle of February end of February, before you then find out, right, okay, that title's now vacant. We can now announce AJ versus Ergovic for the IBF. They can't do that now. They can't announce that now because the title's not vacant. So what they're going to do, and then say, oh yeah, we'll fight in March. Well, Joshua wants to be active. You know, he had 3 fights in 9 months, which I think's a massive bonus and fair play to him. And that's what we want to see from fighters. Now he wants to fight again in March quickly, before then probably fighting for a title, you know, for the title in the summer. So I think timing, and Ngannou's performance against Fury, I think it's a good, and listen, it's going to be exciting because the AJ that we've seen now, he's had those 3 fights back to back. He's back in his groove. He looked far more relaxed and confident against Wallin. Looks settled with Ben Lee Wiley and that team there. So it's a good mixture, and the narrative is there. Can AJ do a better job than what Fury did? And if he does, then it makes Fury and AJ even more high in demand. From a fight where we've kind of like gone, well, Fury's so far in front, because of Ngannou's performance and Fury's, you can say it's an off night, or you can say, is it wear and tear from the 3 Wilder fights and the long career, the way that he's lived his life in the past? Is it all coming to a head along with Father Time? Is it? We don't know. We can assume, but also a massive part is where I think Ngannou had the surprise factor, the surprise element with Fury, and no footage, and Fury's probably thinking, I'm just going to go in there and just bash this geezer up. And you can still go in the gym and train every day, but if that's not tuned in to red alert danger, then you can have off nights, and then all of a sudden you're in a fight and you're thinking, fucking hell, I can't turn it right. It's hard to turn it round when you've not given anybody that. So no matter what Fury does, and you don't make excuses like that, no matter what Fury does, I'll believe that there's an element of that and an element of Ngannou being a much better fighter than what I expected. So I'm looking forward to the fight, and I think everyone will know that it's going to be an exciting fight because of the styles of those two fighters.
From a business standpoint, what you've sort of explained as well, his performance that you put in with Tyson Fury, and also the fact that, you know, he was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. It's also you know, this sport is ran on what does money and commercially what's good.
Yeah, 100%.
To say that it's not a commercial giant of a fight.
100%, and that's why it's happening. Listen, if Ngannou didn't bring anything to the table, showing the attributes that he had in that fight with Fury, do you think they'd go anywhere near him?
Yeah.
Would they? Fuck. But obviously, the money and the Saudis are saying, this is the fight we want. We want a Wilder fight. That's gone for now, gone probably forever. What's the next most exciting, watchable commercial fight that's out there that's not Fury? It's Ngannou. So that's why it's being made. And from a fighter's point of view, again, Anthony Joshua, he's going to get paid absolute shitloads, you know. And if somebody's willing to pay over the odds for fights to be made, then the fighters aren't going to turn them down, because they get one career, you know, and they fighters want to earn as much money as they can and get out of the game with the health intact, and that is it, you know. Achievements, yes, they want to do that as well, but you know, you can't knock them for going out there. It's like when we used to complain about, well, not complain, but all the big fights used to be in Vegas. And it used to be when I was growing up and whatever, all the massive fights were all in America, and it was like that was the thing. That was you know, oh, go out there, you know, get a world title shot. You got to go to America, beat the best, and this. Well, that was because the casinos were paying massive site fees, and so the big fights would happen in America, and a lot of times with British fighters would have to go over to America to take on the champion. Then we had a phase where the fights would start happening over here, because the promoters were getting good fees from the TV networks, and then the fights would start happening over here. We started getting some good fights over here, But then now, it's only the same as what happened in Vegas. It's just that it's in Saudi, and they're throwing serious money at it. And because they want to, they want to build. You've seen it with golf. You've seen it with football. What they're doing, they want to build a bit more of a sporting brand. And while it's happening, any fighter that can have a piece of it needs to get on board, because at the end of the day, they've got short careers, one career, that's it, and they might never get an opportunity to earn that sort of money. But when it's fights like AJ and Ngannou, I think that's an exciting fight. So I haven't got a problem with that. I haven't really got a problem with that, because it's exciting. I'd watch that whether it was in Vegas, Saudi, or Telford. I'm not bothered, So yeah, it's a commercial thing, obviously, but it's a commercial thing that seems to right now is working for all the parties involved.
Just lastly, then, obviously the performance that he put in against Otto Wallin, people were saying, "Wow, AJ might really be at his best." We know that probably not the best night and best performance from Otto, but he was definitely a credible challenger in himself, and it really was a brutal performance. How does the Ngannou fight go? Do you believe that AJ sort of has to go in there and try and stop him?
No, so there's two ways of looking at this. It looked very, very good. It's best I've seen him for a long time. It looked great. Can't knock that. But there's a couple of little factors in that. For me, when a fighter knows his opponent, sparred rounds with him and kind of knows him inside out, and I believe that they sparred a lot of rounds together, that from bar that can kind of like lower the not fear factor, but depending on how spars have gone, but if you've been, especially if you've been the boss in the sparring sessions or the sparring partners being a sparring partner as such, that can allow you to have another layer of confidence and strip away a lot of doubt that's in your mind, where you would normally have going in against an unknown when you've never shared a ring. You can watch YouTube your fighters all you want, but until you get in the ring with them and share them, just the whole look of them and everything, that's there's a different level of nervous energy in that, and just pure nerves and anxiety in that with certain fighters. When you strip that away and fighters have shared a ring together and spot, you can be a little bit more free. And I think there might be an element of that where AJ shared the ring with Wallin and knows him and felt comfortable in there, felt comfortable in the training that he was doing in the new setup, felt comfortable in the game plan that he was going out to do, knew that he could do that. And the opponent they had in front of him, he knew that it was going to be, he knew his man. And also, we got to remember is when in terms of when people come into camp and they spar with champions and fighters, as sparring partners, and they say, "Oh yeah, I handled him in sparring, I did this, blah blah," but you're sparring in head guards and 18, 20-ounce gloves, so that's a little bit different to when you start getting it off them with 10-ounce gloves. So I imagine getting it off Anthony Joshua in 18, 20-ounce gloves is a little more easier and less frightening than getting it on from when you look across him, he's got these little 10-ounce gloves on, and then you're getting hit with that lovely jab that he was employing to start off with. And it makes you go a little bit on the defensive side, because we also, he didn't really do a lot, but that was because AJ didn't allow him to. He boxed brilliant, but also, like I said, there's the comfort factor. When he's in with somebody where he doesn't know again, and will he have those same doubts? Will he box in a different way? Will he be a bit more hesitant? Maybe so. And Ngannou, what you got to remember is Ngannou, what I noticed with the Fury fight, which gave Fury problems, is Fury normally has this height and reach that's massive on top of everyone, so he can kind of do what he wants to do in a fight and get out of the way without getting caught back. With Ngannou, he was a little bit more hesitant, because I didn't realize until I watched the fight, I didn't see the stats. I'll be honest, going into it, I wasn't that arsed about it. I didn't watch it live. I remember my daughter was DJing, and I saw it on Twitter. I see a picture of Fury on floor. I'm like, what the fuck? So I bought it because of that. So then when I'm watching it, I see the reach of Ngannou, and somebody told me they've got the same reach. That's a little, could be a little bit tricky with AJ. That's something that he might have to adjust to, and you don't know how that's going to make him box. So it's an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. I don't watch MMA, but I hear that Ngannou's very, very tough and he can take a shot. So I can't imagine him going all guns blazing. I just think that AJ is a good boxer. He's a much better boxer now than what he was. He will use his brain, but he needs to establish himself and be sharpshooting. And I think that's what. Yeah, I believe he wins the fight, but if he was to get of what you saw against Fury, if he was to get in trouble in that fight, it wouldn't surprise me.
Sorry, I didn't realise I was on mute there. Let me ask you, Fury Usyk now, moving forward into that one. Interesting, because you can't judge someone so much off their last performance. And after the Dubois fight, everyone
But
was...
we do.
No, but we do. But then you did it. You could do it with both fighters, right? Because after
Both,
the
yeah.
fight, people were like, "Oh, Fury absolutely batters Usyk," and then after the Ngannou fight, people were like, "No, Usyk beats Fury." It's almost like the crossroads in that both guys probably haven't had their best performances last time out, but it is the first time that we see that undisputed title this on this side of the, well, I suppose in the 2000s. It's so intriguing, but I don't know, break it down for me. We've got to see a better Fury, definitely, a better Oleksandr Usyk. We know that he's never really like being hit at the body. We believe Fury's in Riyadh training. I mean, it's so interesting.
Is the last fight of them both makes this so much more intriguing. It puts so many doubts in your head either way, because both of them look, very, very beatable. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. Again, to where if I genuinely believe that if Fury didn't have the sheer size that he's got over Usyk, I think Usyk beats him comfortably. But he has, so you can't say that. And because he has the advantages. Usyk's got, I know he's got great feet, great hands, everything, but at heavyweight, he's not quite as mobile and as sharp as what he was at cruiserweight, obviously. And the angles and the sharpness and the free-flowing punching that he had at cruiserweight was a massive, massive asset for him. The sheer weight, Fury's just going to bang away to that body. Might hit him low, might aim it on the hip, just maul him. He'll look to maul him, But he's also got that range where Usyk's going to struggle or going to have to work. He's going to have to work very, very hard to get his own jabs off, to get what works for him off. He's going to have to work very, very hard. But I genuinely don't know what happens in the fight. It is one of those, because
a totally different Tyson Fury than we did in the Ngannou fight, though.
I would 100% mentally, 100%, yeah. And I would expect him to be better physically. I know in shape wise, he'll be physically much better, but it is a genuine thought, and people can mock all you want, but he could just be deteriorating, because you've got to remember the fights with Wilder, he took some shots. That third fight, maybe not the second fight, but that third fight was just a fight where go back and watch it and look at that. There was no technique in that fight. You wouldn't look at that fight and say Tyson Fury is one of the best boxers in the world. You'd say he's one of the toughest and is one of the best sluggers, and fucking great chin, and kept getting up, and plenty of art and plenty of bottle. Both of them. But you won't say he's the best boxer in the world. And the damage that he took in that fight at this stage of his career, you don't know if that's left something there. Do you know what I mean? And if that's the case, because now, if that's the case where he has lost that, then there's no doubt Usyk can do a job on him. But I genuinely don't know, because it is one. It sounds like I'm sitting on fence. I am sitting on fence a little bit. I think the advantages lie in Fury because of his sheer size, and I think that's a big ask for Usyk. But I think fighter wise, I think boxer wise, and brains wise, I think Usyk's got every chance of beating him. And also, I think that the fact that Fury can't get into Usyk's head may play a factor, because all his best performances are when he gets in somebody's head. When he doesn't, then it's kind of like rebounds, and he doesn't look outstanding. You know, go through his career. The best fights are when he's got in people's heads. You know, so I don't know. At this stage, I don't know. It's good that he's gone out there and he's focused, he's quiet, he's on his job. So you know he's preparing right. So that makes it interesting. But sometimes, you know, things that happen throughout your career, and you know, once you're on that decline, sometimes it's hard to try and claw yourself back. I'm not saying that's the case.
I don't know what happened at the end. You said, I'm not saying it's the case, and then I lost you for the last couple of seconds.
Yeah, I was just talking shit again. Not about it.
I'll just lastly on that topic then. I think fair to probably say, and we could be wrong, we could be proved wrong, but in terms of stylistically and Usyk being the master boxer that he is, chance it may not be the most fan-friendly fight.
I always thought before the pair of them last fights, I always thought this would be a stinker. I think stylistically, it's got stinker written all over it. Now coming off the fights, I think maybe it's a better fight than what we thought, because sometimes when fighters are, you know, when fighters just start going, I'm not saying that they are, but I'm saying that it could be, and looking at them, I don't believe either of them are as good as what they used to be. So yeah, I am saying they are. But when fighters are on a little bit of a downward and start sliding, they get it more. And so it makes, for fans, it makes it a better fight, because fans, you know, listen, if you're sharp and both defensive are very, very good, it's great for the purists and great for people that want to see defensive technical boxing. But for fans, they want to see guys getting it. So I think for fans, I think it's actually going to be a better fight than what I originally thought when we were first talking about this ages ago. So I do think it'll be a better fight, because I think they're both slowed and both not as defensively elusive as what they used to be.
Just sort of wrapping up 2023 then for you. Didn't finish on probably.
Still doing that? We're moving on to 2024, mate.
No, I'm saying like just reflecting on 2023, just quickly. We will talk about what's to come, but I suppose it's sort of 2-in-1 really. But not the way that the year would have liked to end for Ebanie, but she's been very, very gracious in defeat actually. And sort of what's the plan moving forward there? Expecting.
Yeah, of course. She's right from in the ring. I was very proud of her how she handled it in the ring. It was, you know, it was lovely to see, you know, Mio with a daughter, and you know, you saw what it meant to her. Listen, Ebanie's been very, very successful in her life. And she's worked hard. She's not had anything given. She's worked hard at it. You know, whatever it is she's done, she's worked at it. It was a bad night. It was a bad night. You know, there's nothing that can be said about it. You get. Listen, she got beat by a better fighter, but inactivity at that age does hurt you. Yeah, it's at any age, but you can't. Once it became a fight, it was a fight, and she just couldn't get anything off. Mio smothered her, you know, just neutralized her and had her on with her back to the ropes most of the fight. She couldn't get going. And it was a very, very frustrating night. And unfortunately, sometimes in boxing that happens. But you know, she handled it. You know, so sometimes, you know, people get carried away with what goes off outside of a boxing. But she showed there that in that moment when she knows what's coming, she knows that people are praying for a downfall, and in that moment when it all goes to shit, she was very, very humble and very, very gracious in defeat, and that shows the character that's there. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's not the best end of the year, not the best end of the year for me. But 2023 on a whole, with the rest of the guys, I've had a fantastic year. I've got a young stable that's just developing, and I've had some really, really good nights. Stephen Cairns, Hopi Price, Muhammad Ali, all doing fantastic. I've had Ellis Price in the gym for he's turning pro now, for the last few months of 2023. In fact, no, he was out in LA with us in May. So yeah, for the bulk of 23. So that's coming to fruition, and he's going to be a really, really good fighter. I'm looking forward to 2024. It's going to be a good year for the stable.
You almost took the words right out of my mouth. A great young stable coming through. Stephen Cairns,
Yeah.
Hopi Price, Mohammed.
Got some big news for Stephen coming up very soon. Just working on something. So very excited for him. It's going to be a good year for him. A lot more people are going to see what he's about. His socials are fantastic, off the hook, really are. He's very, very good on that side of things. But it's the work that he puts in that is just a glimpse of what he does. The work that he puts in the gym, the dedication. He's been over since he was 18 years old. He's left his family to focus on his boxing. He's a very, very dedicated kid, heavy-handed, but his IQ is just improving all the time. Opie Price has had a great win last time out. A good year for him. And like I said, Muhammad Ali 4-0, had a great first year. Exciting, young, fresh. He's ticked all the boxes. So I'm looking forward to 2024, man.
Well, Dave, you always keep me on my toes. We did finally manage to catch up. It was a bit of mayhem with all.
You're too busy. What can I say? In between you jet setting and shit like that, you're too big for us, like common folk. You got a little bit too big on the old ego. I think Eddie Hearn's rubbing off on you. Shall I start calling you Mini Eddie? Is that what it is?
No. No,
little Charlie Hearn.
Oh God, no. Look, Dave, always good speaking to you, mate. Just a final message to the people ahead of 2024. It looks like it's going to be a terrific year in the boxing calendar.
Hope so. 20 was, for me, at the end, the heavyweights, it was exciting and stuff, but for the majority, I felt a lot of people slagging off boxing because what wasn't happening in the heavyweight division. But in the other divisions, I thought it was fantastic. We got some great matchups, and 24 looks like we're going to get some even better matchups. Going to get some great fights. I think everybody's wanting to fight each other now. I think the fans are in for a treat. I think whoever you're supporting, keep supporting. But we need people to just support the sport as a whole instead of just tweeting about the bad stuff. Like, shout loud about the good stuff, because if you don't, and all you do is if these TV networks just see negativity, then they're gonna be like, the fuck do we need to back boxing for? If they pull out of boxing, then you're not gonna see any fights whatsoever. So promote the sport in 2024. I know it's frustrating. It's a frustrating sport, but it's frustrating in football. You still support your football team, but your football team can be shit, can lose one week, can lose next week, and then they have a big win and everybody's like, loves them all again. So try and support boxing for as much as you can and push the positivity on boxing, because I genuinely am worried with even when we have big nights, good nights,
negative, isn't it?
They're not as loud on social. They're not as loud on social. The bad times are. And trust me, these TV execs, if they don't see the numbers, and when people, I try and watch every, whether it's TNT, whether it's Sky, whether it's DAZN, I try and watch boxing on every channel. So I'm one of the viewing numbers. I'm one of those guys, right? But if people, because they don't like Eddie Hearn, don't watch DAZN, if they don't like Frank Warren, they don't watch TNT.
It's almost like they pick a football club.
yeah, but we're diluting the viewing figures, and it's like, or even I know if you can't afford, obviously not everybody can afford all the packages. It's stupid. It's so costly, and I get that. But just if you're catching the highlights, you're not seeing the fights, but you can get it on YouTube. You can get, how people get to watch other channels anyway at a later date or whatever. If it's a good fight, it's a good fight. It doesn't matter who's promoting it. It doesn't matter who's showing it. Support the sport. And if you're that up in arms about boxing, go and watch small old boxing and support them fuckers, because those guys have got no money coming in. Your promoters, they've got no money coming in. They rely on ticket sales, and a lot of fighters on those shows rely on ticket sales. So, for all the problems boxing's got, I think if we just push and try, yes, outline the negatives. I'm not saying not, but also in equal measures, push the good shit. And then the sport's going to grow again, because we need it to grow this year.
Well, Dave, top man. As always, thank you for speaking to us, and hopefully catch up shortly.
Thanks, man.
Nice one.
We need to think of a new advert for freebets.com.
Get your best betting offers from freebets.com.
Yeah, that'll do.
The following deals are now live.